Noah and his ark landed, we are told, on the Mount Ararat after the flood. Let's have a look. So we are still in this central area of the great area of wear and tear, right here. And if you zoom in again, we'll find that today where Mount Ararat is a bit further north, but still in fairly central area. And that's where we are told in the Bible that the Ark of Noah landed on the Mount of Ararat, which is in modern Turkey, East Turkey. Let's have a look where that is. Okay, this is the Mount Ararat. Agri Dagi, that's how it reads locally. And if you zoom out a little bit, that's the Mount Ararat. It's covered in cloud, some snow. If you zoom in, now this is something interesting. It's just interesting, and just take it as it is. On the Mount Ararat, there's all this fairly straight looking geological formations. But here, right towards the top of it, there's this strange thing here that sticks out. It's clearly a stone formation, but just for fun of it, look at this. Right at the top of this formation is something, looks like a shadow, yeah? Looks like a man with a rucksack and a hat, explorer hat, and having a camera with a big lens on, pointing in this direction, as if he's saying, look this way. Okay, just for fun of it anyway, have a look at this. Look at this formation here, from here to there. Now, we are told that Noah's Ark landed on the Mount Ararat. And if you just look at briefly the dimensions of Noah's Ark, now look at it in meters, not in cubits. So it's approximately 134 meters long, 22 meters wide, 30 meters high. So 134 and 22. Go back here. Let's have a look. So here's the map here, right in the right corner, 50 meters. That's 50 meters. Let's come out a little bit. 100 meters. Okay, so that's about 100 meters there. 100 meters from there to there. It's about 140 or something like that, is it? Roughly. Let's have a look. Go back into 50-meter mode. So that's 50 meters here in the right corner, from there to there. Okay, 50. So do 150, 250. Let's say about 140 meters long. And how wide is it? How wide is this? The widest here. So that's about 20 meters. It's about 20, maybe 25 meters. Maybe so about 140 times 25 meters, which is very similar to the dimensions of Noah's Ark, isn't it? Obviously, clearly, this is a stone formation. It's not made of wood. How did it get there and how was it formed? Who knows? It's just an interesting thing when you look at the Earth from above. And remember this chap here with the rucksack and explorer hat and the camera saying to us, have a look at this. So we're looking at it. And it's interesting that there is a stone formation. However, whenever it's formed near the top of the Mount Ararat, that's roughly the same dimensions as Noah's Ark was. Okay, that's just for fun to intrigue you a little bit. You can have a look at it yourself. Let's have a look at the map again. So this is Mount Ararat, where Noah's Ark landed after the flood. So let's zoom out and see where we are. So this is eastern Turkey, Mount Ararat. Turkey. Okay, keep zooming out. Keep zooming out. So it's fairly close to the border with Armenia, between Turkey and Armenia, somewhere here. And you see we are still fairly close to that great area, the Middle East area, where the beginning of civilization is. So Noah's Ark landed just further north, a couple hundred kilometers north from this central area of the Middle East, which is the beginning of civilizations. Now, after landing there, there's an interesting site that's not too far from there. It's really in between Mount Ararat and Middle East. It's an ancient Neolithic site, Göbekli Tepe. You've probably heard of it, or you may have heard of it. Let's just zoom out, see where it is. It's probably the oldest, let's call it a temple in the world. The oldest structure in the world, Neolithic structure. So it's there. So okay, so Noah's Ark landed somewhere there. Gobekli Tepe is somewhere here. So coming back from the landing site towards the area of the Promised Land, or towards the area of Babylon, somewhere in that direction, we find this place called Gobekli Tepe. Neolithic site, the oldest, probably the oldest structure in the world. Some people say it's a religious site, temple. Some people say it's an ancient zoo, or it could be both. Some people say it's an ancient sanctuary. It could be all of those things. Why? It doesn't have to be just the one thing. Why? Why would it be a zoo? Well, if you look at the iconography on the pillars in the zoo, they're all full of animals. There are animals all over the place. You have all kinds of things: serpents, foxes, boars, gazelles, sheep, cranes, ducks, vultures, all kinds of things. You can see all these animals on the stones in Göbekli Tepe. Some animals here, objects found, not carved on stones, but objects, boars, animals, all kinds of things like that are found in this oldest ancient temple. So that's over there, somewhere in between the Mount Ararat and the Middle East. That's the location, yes? So basically, what would have happened there? Well, if you read the story of the flood, Noah and his family, they took one pair of each animal on the ark. But there's a division between clean and unclean animals. So clean animals, they've taken 7 pairs of each animal, but the unclean animals, just 1 pair. So after the flood, if there's no more animals left, once they landed on the Mount Ararat and they started coming out and rebuilding their lives, there was nothing left there but just piles of mud drying up. And I suppose animals would be precious, just like anything else after the flood, if everything was destroyed. So perhaps years later, somebody decided to build the first zoo. Perhaps not a public zoo. Maybe it was private, ruled by somebody who was rich and powerful, somebody who was a collector, perhaps collecting the rarities, which the animals were in those days, perhaps early days, before they started multiplying massively again. So that would fit really nicely with the story of the flood, when we are told that all the animals were just gone, apart from just a handful of animals left on the ark. And somebody decided to make a temple or a zoo or a sanctuary that's all about animals, Göbekli Tepe. It's all about animals. So animal sanctuary, zoo, temple, a precious place, a collector site of somebody who was rich and powerful. That's what we find happened. As people were trying to figure their way out towards that place where the ancient civilizations began. So from here, where Noah's Ark landed, through this first zoo, and then going back and spreading again in this area, which is called uh, Chaldea or Babylon or Babel. And we are told that after the flood, generations later, people started building things there in kingdoms, in Babylon, Babel, Chaldea, Akkad. These are the early Akkadian Empire. This is the earliest, one of the first empires of the human civilizations, Akkadian Empire. So that's all in the region of what we called ancient Babylon, Babylonia, Chaldea, Babel. And that's where the Tower of Babel was built also, in that area. And it's interesting, again, that's the area that's, if you remember the last presentation, if the Garden of Eden, let's say, for the argument's sake, was here in the Promised Land, in the present-day Israel, this was all happening east of Eden, east of Eden, east of Eden. They're all building things from the time of Cain, the son of Adam and Eve, who built the first city east of Eden, to the time of the later descendants of Noah, and I think it was specifically uh, Noah's son Ham. His descendants started building in this area and started building the Tower of Babel. That's what we find happened. Okay, so what do we read in the story of Noah and the flood? Genesis chapter 9. After they came out of the ark on the Mount Ararat, this is what happened. Genesis chapter 9. So God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth." Okay, so this is the reset of the humankind, because the same phrase was given to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden: "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth." So the earth is restarting again. The humankind is restarting again. "And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be on every beast of the earth, on every bird of the air, on all that move on the earth, and all the fish of the sea. They are given into your hands." So something seems to have changed in terms of the relationship between humans and animals. Fear is mentioned, and some kind of different relationship. And then we are told, "Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. I have given you all things, even as the green herbs." So we're going back to the Garden of Eden, when people were all vegetarian, and Noah and his family, they're still vegetarian at this point in time. "I have given you green herbs, as I have given green herbs to eat. But from now on, every moving thing that lives shall be food for you." From the moment of you coming out of the ark. So while they're on the ark, they're still vegetarian. Coming out of the ark, there's the very first barbecue party taking place. Well, maybe other families were feasting on animal flesh prior to this, but we just read the story of Noah and his family. They're still vegetarian. So this was the very first barbecue party, let's call it that way, as Noah and his sons and their wives came out of the ark. They were now told that they can eat animal flesh or meat. Obviously, if you read the story in the context before this took place, as they were taking animals onto the ark before the flood, God separated clean and unclean animals, so that should probably be taken into account. And there are more uh, clean animals to eat. There are 7 pairs of each, just 1 pair of the unclean. So if you eat the unclean animals, they would be extinct immediately. All right, so every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. I have given you all things, even as the green herbs. But you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is blood. Now, some people say all the food laws have been done away with on the cross when Christ died on the cross, although I don't know what the cross has to do with food. When you move forward into the New Testament in the book of Acts, chapters 15, 16, 17, somewhere there, council in Jerusalem, um, when the apostles gather together and discuss things like circumcision, and they tell the Gentiles, you don't have to be circumcised. They just give them a few things. First, keep away from sexual immorality, keep away from idolatry, and also, you shall not eat flesh with its blood. You shall not eat strangled. So they said, us and the Holy Spirit saw that this would be good for you. So the Holy Spirit has played part in this, and they're quoting actually from Genesis chapter 9, this rule God has given to Noah: you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is its blood, and that is still applicable in the New Testament. At the time of the Council of Jerusalem, it's applicable not only to the Jews but to the Gentiles, to the whole humankind, really. So that hasn't changed on the cross. Obviously, the Jews are the children of Abraham, genetic children of Abraham, and some other nations. But all of us are children of Noah, because we all descend from Noah and his sons. And so this rule applies to all of us, the entire humankind. The Holy Spirit has placed a seal on it at the Council of Jerusalem, so that has not changed. We shall still not eat flesh with its life, that is blood, or strangled, or something like that. Okay, next. Surely for your lifeblood I will demand a reckoning. From the hand of every beast I will require it, and from the hand of man. From the hand of every man's brother I will require the life of man. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man. Okay, so this is another rule, one commandment that God gives to Noah and his children. Yeah, basically, you shall not kill human beings who are made in God's image. You can kill animals and eat them, but you shall not kill human beings. Obviously, this has been done from the time of Adam and Eve, as Cain killed his brother Abel. But this is the first time that we are mentioned that there is actually law against murder and the punishment, capital punishment. So whoever gets killed, Noah is told you'll have to kill those who kill a human being. So this is a law that comes into place only after God himself for the first time actually executes punishment on humankind, and he kills human beings in the flood. Because prior to this, God has not taken any steps like that. Only through the flood, once God has punished humankind in some way for some kind of departure from his will. Now Noah is told also that he should and he can kill those who murder. So that's one of the first laws that is given to Noah and his offspring. Okay, there are other things there that we don't need to go into at this time. But let's have a look at what happened in this area. When we look at the great area of wear and tear on the map that spreads all the way from Western Sahara to Mongolia and China, the Gobi Desert, it looks like wear and tear compared to the rest of the earth. Now, interesting, I watched a very good program on BBC with Kate Humble some years ago, and they investigated Sahara Desert. Basically, the scientists found that the Sahara Desert was covered in bodies of water, in lakes and rivers, just around 5,000 years ago. Now, this is a scientific program from BBC, and it's not a religious program. And they went into the caves in Sahara, and they saw paintings, drawings of people swimming in water. And they said this was only about 5,000 years ago, not millions of years ago. Very interesting, coming from BBC, from a scientific program. Just around 5,000 years ago, there was a great lake, body of water, or sea, or lush environment in what we call Sahara Desert now. And it probably spread all the way through the North Africa. So it looked very different, just around 5,000 years ago. Interesting. If you take the biblical account seriously, that's relatively close, fairly close to the time of the flood, roughly close. So this is just a couple of thousands of years ago, not millions of years ago, that something changed drastically and dramatically in this area. And if it happened there, well, perhaps the same thing may have happened throughout this whole area of great wear and tear. It may have all been desolated massively by flood, more so than the rest of the planet, perhaps because this is where all the first human civilizations began. The ancient Babylon, Chaldea, Babel, Akkadian Empire, this place in the Middle East. And they probably started spreading from that area. The first civilizations, north towards Europe, east into Asia, south into Africa. And these are probably populated areas populated before humans spread anywhere else out in the globe. Far north, far northeast into Asia and into Americas, perhaps. So this is what you find, that there's been a massive catastrophe that has changed the view of the earth, especially this area where the first civilizations started growing and developing. Now, some people suggest that this was all caused by a massive comet or meteor that hit the earth, or a number of meteors that hit the earth and caused massive, gigantic tsunami wave that go all over the place, all over the earth, and the big cloud of dust rising into the sky, which covered the sunlight. So there was a period of cooling of the earth because there was no sunlight, there was no heat, and that's why there was the ice age and all that stuff. It's one of the views, one of the perspectives on human history and geology that most of the modern scientists do not accept. But as I say, at least some scientists would say that this area here in Sahara, only about 5,000 years ago, was covered in a great body of water. It was lush nature. This place here, the entire desert, looked completely different just thousands of years ago. The BBC scientists tell us, not millions of years ago, but thousands of years ago. So perhaps the rest of the planet has been affected similarly through global catastrophe thousands of years ago rather than millions of years ago. So there's some massive meteoric craters all around the globe. But there's an interesting thing here in Sahara. We mentioned Sahara. Let's look over there in Sahara Desert. The thing that the astronauts in space saw for the very first time in the 20th century, when they looked from above in Sahara. Let's see if we can find it. And they called it the Eye of Sahara because it looked like an eye. It's somewhere here, isn't it? Let's have a look. If I can spot it. Where is it now? The Eye of Sahara. No, it's not there. No. Where is it gone? I've lost it now. Okay, best to type it in. Type it in, Eye of Sahara. Oh, there you go. Let's close that. So let's zoom out. There it is. Okay. So this is this formation here in Sahara Desert. It looks literally like eye. This shape here, and this eyeball here, right in the middle. It's quite massive. Let's have a look at the ratio. Here we got 10 kilometers. Let's zoom out. Here in the right corner, you can see it's 20 kilometers. So about 20, 40, about 50 kilometers wide. About 50 kilometers wide. That's quite massive. From here to there, about 50 kilometers wide. Now, some people, nobody knows what this is and how it came to be. First, they suggested it was a crater from meteorite or a meteor, but it doesn't really look like a crater. It's like got all these levers and layers and concentric circles. It doesn't look like the other craters that we find, meteoric craters. For instance, there is one just above here. Let's see if we can find it. Here, there is a crater. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Found it. There it is. There's a crater here. Let's see, what's this one called? This one is called Tenumer crater. Okay, so let's have a look. 500 meters. We're told that's 500 meters. Let's zoom out a little bit. 1 kilometer. Okay, 1 kilometer from here to there. 1.3 kilometers, let's say. That's the size of the crater. That's how the craters look like. I suppose the one in Arizona crater, is not much bigger than that. Roughly around similarly that size, 1 kilometer. So the other thing is 50 times bigger. Let's zoom out and see. Zoom out, see how small that gets. Zoom out more. It's disappeared completely, and compared to, it's just a little dot now, compared to the Eye of Sahara, look how massive that is. How massive that is. 50 kilometers wide. So nobody knows what this is and how it came to be. So some people first suggested it was a meteor crater, and they dismissed that because it doesn't look like it. I just show you what meteor crater looks like. Some people say perhaps it was a volcano, and then some sort of it died out and something changed, but it doesn't look like a volcano. If you go down there, it's all flat. There's no mountain there, there's no hill there, there's no indentation, there's no hole. It doesn't go up or down, it's all flat, so it's not really a volcano. Now, some people suggest that this is the lost city of Atlantis, because that was apparently circular, concentric circles, but it doesn't look like it's man-made. It looks very geological, naturally made structure. Yeah, nobody knows. It's a mystery. It looks a bit like if you've seen in some of the sci-fi films when the aliens from outer space come, some powerful aliens, they send this beam and drill big massive hole right towards the earth, through the earth's crust towards the center of the earth. It looks a bit like that. So that's a bit mysterious, but perhaps something's been drilled through there, and if there's any water underneath, and apparently there is scientists say now that there is a great body of water underneath Sahara also, not on top of it like 5,000 years ago, but underneath. Perhaps if there's a big massive drill coming through there, let's put it that way, a lot of water would just gush out. Tons of water would just gush out, and that would cause all kinds of catastrophic changes to the area. And obviously, as you can see, this all used to be connected, all the continents, into Pangaea or Pangea, as the Greeks would say. This fits nicely right here. This fits nicely right here. Some of these things here in the north, that fits nicely here. So it used to be all connected. So something happened probably here, close to the Western Sahara, that split the continent, the great supercontinent, into two. Something fairly close to here. It just out. So things have happened elsewhere too, but something must have happened right in the middle there to split the two. And it's interesting that Eye of Sahara, or the Eye of Sahara, is right there. Have I lost it again? There it is. It's right there near that area. That is still an inexplicable mystery. Nobody knows what it is, but it must be linked to some crazy, massive geologic event that may have been caused or part of the cause of what made this whole area of Earth into a massive, great area of wear and tear between Western Sahara and Gobi Desert. But then obviously the entire Earth has been covered in a cloud of dust and big massive tsunami wave, and you have big massive geological formations here on this side of the American continent. So there must a massive wave has hit it from that side. So there is a big massive mess that happened there. So you either take it as something that happened millions of years ago, or you take the biblical account as it is and accept that this probably happened during the flood just a couple of thousand years ago. But whichever option you go for, you have to choose some of them, because clearly there was a massive geologic disaster that split the continents and caused this big massive area, great area of wear and tear, right in the middle of the map as we can see it. And these, if you take the Bible account seriously, these are all the consequences of the Great Flood. When the planet Earth and humankind and the animal world and the plant world, the entire biosphere was reset, scrapped, cleaned out, and reset from the Mount Ararat, starting again through Noah and his 3 sons and their wives, and then the civilization started spreading again through this central area. And then if you continue to read the story further, there's division of nations, and they all spread much further out, 70 different nations into the whole world. And this is where we are now. The story of Noah and the flood. And still, interestingly, we are in the center of this massive area of great wear and tear. This all happened here, the beginning of civilizations, Noah and the flood, and when it comes back, the civilizations restart in the same area, highlighted by the Tower of Babel, which really, when the humans spread from there, when they abandoned the Tower of Babel, it spread into the whole world. They all started building these big, massive ziggurats. And you can find them pretty much all over the place, on all continents, all around the earth. So, this is the story of the Noah and the flood from the satellite perspective. It's a slightly visual journey into the story of Noah and the beginning of the Bible narrative. And we've been focusing on this great area of wear and tear, and the Middle East as the center of the ancient civilizations. And we shall continue next time. Thank you for listening. God bless you.